Let's talk about the other team you just bandwagoned on, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and their running back selection in the 2020 draft, Ke'Shawn Vaughn.
Yep.
It's a really interesting time for him in dynasty leagues because this is a guy that I think is a pretty polarizing prospect. A lot of people were out on him from day one. Others were taking him relatively high in rookie drafts, thinking, oh, this is going to be the Tom Brady running back of the future in a great offense. What do you think about Ke'Shawn Vaughn right now? I'll go ahead and go first. I think he has the upside to be in the Leonard Fournette role. The Leonard Fournette role in this Tom Brady offense, I think that's literally the upside for Ke'Shawn Vaughn in 2021, assuming Fournette leaves in free agency. Vaughn can get a role in the passing game, which we have not seen Ronald Jones. He's, I would say, serviceable at best through the air. They did not trust him on the goal line at all. It was always Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette was just getting all the high-value touches. My concern with Vaughn, though, is if you're going to go out and acquire him, don't overpay for a guy that's disappointed in his first year as a rookie. He was pretty old coming out of college, almost 24 years old already. So I'm only buying if I can buy low from an owner that wants to move on. But another comparison I want to make here, if you're high on A.J. Dillon, I think you have to love Ke'Shawn Vaughn because you can get Ke'Shawn Vaughn at about half the price and receive the same upside if things break their way. Their situations are actually pretty similar. A.J. Dillon, strong offense led by a great quarterback. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, free agency is going to impact his value. Green Bay should still have another running back there splitting work, and he showed some flashes. Look at Vaughn, also on a great offense led by a great quarterback. Leonard Fournette has a huge free agency impact. We know Rojo's there splitting the work, and he showed some flashes as a rookie. So add that in with the fact that I think Vaughn actually has a stronger all-around skill set than A.J. Dillon. I think he's more shifty. He has better hands based on what he did in college and what we've seen a little bit on tape. So I'd move, if I have, let's say, a lot of second-round draft capital in my rookie draft, I'm willing to move one of those picks, maybe a mid to late round second, if I need running back upside, just because this year's rookie class isn't that deep at the running back position. There's like 3 or 4 guys that are really interesting or close to strong hits. So I think I am willing to buy Vaughn if I need him.
Yeah, I mean, if
that makes sense.
He's definitely a buy or a hold if you've got him. Because if you're trying to sell him, you're not going to get much, most likely. Steph, I might even be willing to throw out, an early third or a mid third. I mean, depending on how many rounds your rookie draft is, people might be looking at Ke'Shawn Vaughn like, dang, there was this hype going into the season. Is it Vaughn or is it Rojo? The sky is the limit. And then obviously the Fournette signing happens and Vaughn goes straight to the bottom of the barrel. But it's now would be the time to buy. We don't know what's going to happen with Leonard Fournette. Obviously, it seems like the Bucs want to bring back a lot of that Super Bowl team next season, but they have guys to sign on defense. They have a lot of guys to sign on offense. It's going to be tough for them to make that happen. And with Rojo there, with Vaughn there, 2 young guys, both 23 years old, I just don't know. It's all down to Fournette. What's he willing to accept from a compensation perspective? Because at age 26, gets cut from Jacksonville, comes in, has a really strong playoff run there. Fournette might say, this was my 1-year prove-it deal. I got my ring. I want to move on and get one last big contract in my career. And if that's the case, he will not be with Tampa Bay next season. But if he says, dang, let's run it back, he might be back. So, I think the Fournette news is really going to impact Vaughn in the short term very significantly, because if Fournette's back next season, that's just another year for Vaughn to essentially warm the bench and be that third guy in the pecking order. So if you want to take your gamble, if you think Fournette's going to leave, throw out some feelers for Ke'Shawn Vaughn right now, because when he did get action last season, he proved to be fairly effective. I mean, there was one game where we really got to see him get a lot of run. 15 carries for 62 yards against the Detroit Lions. Also had a reception for 7 yards in that game. So nothing crazy from a fantasy perspective, but he proved he could carry some of the load. He could get the job done and do a decent job. So we didn't get to see a ton from Vaughn, but I do think the talent is still there. And if it's Vaughn and Rojo next season, you're right. I think both are going to have a role. And could Vaughn end up in the short term, if Fournette's gone next season, being that guy that's your RB3 that you plug in during bye weeks that helps you, if injuries happen? And it's also the kind of high value handcuff where if something was to happen to Rojo, to that other guy, he steps into a workhorse role. I think that's exactly what you have there. And you're not finding that in the back of the second round right away. You're not finding that in the third round unless you have the Antonio Gibson of next season. So I like it. I think you should throw out some feelers for Ke'Shawn Vaughn, but you have to understand it's a risk. If Fournette's back, Vaughn is going to continue to be buried, and he's losing time. Running backs are a race against time. So if Vaughn loses another season and doesn't have the opportunity, and now he's 24, you're probably going to be looking at a pretty big uphill climb for him to be effective. But if you want to take that chance, if you want upside guys, or if you're negotiating other deals and someone has Ke'Shawn Vaughn, I think he's a perfect throw-in. If you're in a negotiation for a trade and you're kind of on the fence, you think you're going to do it, and you're like, all right, Ke'Shawn Vaughn, and it's done. Add Ke'Shawn Vaughn, and it's done. He's a great throw-in to any bigger potential trade. So keep an eye out for those kind of guys on rosters. Vaughn is one of them. There's a lot of other young players. Think about guys like Jalen Reagor, Michael Pittman. You mentioned even A.J. Dillon. Maybe some people are still sleeping on him. Those are the kind of guys, if people have them on their roster, they might be disappointed in what happened as a rookie, but they're still young talent that could be very effective for fantasy football for the next several seasons if given opportunity. So be looking for those kind of things and buy those guys low all day.
Vaughn is extremely appealing to me from everything he did in college. I think he has the size and speed you want to see. He ran a 4.5. It's not the fastest in the world, but guys like Dalvin Cook will run that type of speed. But he's 5'10", 215. That's what you want to see. Maybe a little bit of height there. Maybe put him up to 6 foot to really get there. But 5'10", 215, you'll take that every single day of the week. And he had 10% of his college target share, which was a 75th percentile amongst running backs. He was able to produce in the passing game in college. And he did see 10 targets. He only caught a few of those, caught 5 of them this year. I think there's still a lot that he can show there if he can get the trust of Tom Brady and the Bucs organization as a whole.